Hello people of YouTube and welcome back. So I was watching a video earlier today, I think it was, or maybe last night, of Callum, Retro Ghetto, and he did a fantastic video talking about modern retro games and how good they are. The oxymoron of it kind of cancels each other out, but do you know what? Like, as retro collectors these days, I'm enjoying some of the modern games a lot more than the games that are highly regarded as the best 2D games. Honestly, it sounds bizarre, but honestly, keep with me because I've got a slew of games here that it's been hard to narrow it down to 10 games. I was originally, I was going to just do 5 games, but I couldn't. I've got too many to talk about because I've enjoyed so many. Um, my parameters, what I'm going to use is I'm not going to use any of the games that Calum talked about because I'll link his video down below. I'm sure you've all subscribed to him anyway, but he's chosen some of the finest 2D retro inspired video games there are at the moment. But there is still quite a lot out there that are still top notch, and I would like to talk about some. There's some. To be honest, I could probably do this video about 5 or 6 times over. I really could. And the problem is, a lot of these games, they're sort of like hidden away behind digital only or limited run games, which is pretty much of a shame, really, because a lot of them should be in people's hands. That being said, you can probably pick some of these up digitally for pounds, if not less. But yeah, without further ado, and maybe a glass of wine, shall we get on with it? Shall we? So first up, it's gonna have to be Ecclesia. Is it fuck? I've got to get out of here. That was probably the worst retro inspired video game I've ever played. It was so average, it kind of hurt. It really did. Just retro by numbers. That was just the what people would think of as a retro inspired game. It's taking retro gaming too literally. So yeah, just whatever you do, ignore that. And I know there's going to be people going out there now to buy it to see how bad it really is. But honestly, it looks all right on the screen, but it's not. It plays terribly. Yeah. Anyway, next up. Oh, this has got a mark on it. It's got poorly on it. One of the first retro-inspired games I ever played, and possibly one of the best, to be honest. And it is Retro City Rampage. Had to be talked about. I can't believe Callum left this one out. A game that I was quite surprised I was gonna enjoy so much, but got really hooked into it. I actually 100%ed this. Unfortunately, no platinum trophy. I believe. I'm pretty certain I'm correct in that. But yeah, and it was one of the first games that kind of got me into wanting to do every mission, every this, every that, to get the scores and a little bit more that it sort of inspires you to do. But yeah, basically this game is a modern retro sort of copy of the original GTA's. However, it's got a lot more humor, movie references, everything just put into it. A little bit gory at times. It's like a lot of mafia and sort of like I don't know, hitman sort of like scenes in it where you've got to go and kill people for money and stuff. But yeah, it's the humor is that keeps this going, and the gameplay as well. Like I think there's one mission. I don't know if it is a mission or if it's something to get a trophy where you had to run over a certain amount of people in a certain time, and that was really hard. It was like something like you had to do a few people a second. And there was basically one street that was like really good for it, and yeah, you just go mow them all down. What an achievement that is, and that kind of just tells you what kind of game this is. Just fantastic. Yeah, not for the faint-hearted. Next up, another one not for the faint-hearted. Do you know what? When I did like one pass of my games just to see what jumped out of me. And this one, I missed this one because it's such a crappy spine, and it's the Messenger. Look at that spine. It's just so well, it's just up there and kind of like missing. But realistically, this box, I can't even explain how nice it feels. This just feels sort of like velvety cardboard. Yeah, really cool. But we're not here to talk about the box. What is this game? Well, this game is sort of Ninja Gaiden, but on crack. It really is that same formula that we loved with Ninja Gaiden, Ninja games. It even like references it a few times. It starts off like an 8-bit game, and then it's sort of like got time travel elements to it, and it then turns into a 16-bit game, and you sort of like merge between the two. It's so surreal, quite very like ahead of its time, really. There wasn't anything like this, like trying to push the boundaries. A lot of games were either, I mean, there was. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of stellar games out there that was retro inspired, but this sort of like just opened the envelope to show developers how much further you could push the sort of like retro envelope. And yeah, this is a must play. Again, limited copy, unfortunately, from Special Reserve, but I'm pretty certain you can get this for like single digits digitally, and it is definitely high up there as a must play. Talking of digitally, I'm going to go next, and sort of in the same vein of that, Super Cyborg. So hopefully I've got some videos playing. Super Cyborg is a not quite a Ninja Gaiden style game, but more of a Contra style game, a run and gun game. And yeah, Callum mentioned another Contra-esque game, had a lot more production values to it. However, Super Cyborg just felt a lot more budget, but more like sort of true to the Contra sort of style. It was very 8-bitty feeling, well, but like with obviously the modern flourishes. Very hard, but very good. Like, yeah, it is one that you need to try out. I'd love to tell you more, but I've kind of forgotten a little bit about it. I played it earlier this year, and I didn't watch a video about that one, so really apologise about that one. But yeah, you could get that for like less than a couple of quid. It's fantastic. Honestly, get it on your wish list. You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. Right, next up, we're gonna show a proper game. Now, I don't know if this one really counts, but it does count, if you know what I mean. It's not got pixelated graphics or anything like that, but the way it's set up is very, very retro, and it is Lumo. So this is a fantastic game. I originally played this on the Vita, and if you ever do that, make sure you download all the patches and stuff before you play it, because there's a lot of bits that glitch. But the PS4 version plays a lot better, a lot more sort of like, well, just smoothly, I guess. No glitches. But yeah, this game, what this plays like is more like a Amiga C64 Spectrum style adventure game, where like you do one room at a time in an isometric view. Like say, more modern graphics. It's quite cool. You go to like, God, this must have been about 8 years ago since I played this. This was like when PS4 just came out. I think you go to like a C64 convention or something like that, or C6, or like maybe a Spectrum convention, some old dusty old tape convention or something like that, and you go sit down at a computer and you get sucked into the game. And I thought that was really quite unique. Like, that was quite cool. It just sort of like nods to sort of our geekiness and the game. But yeah, you turn into this sort of like wizardy sprite thing that you look straight out of Final Fantasy. And yeah, you go on to this like really cool puzzle platforming single screen adventure. I highly recommend it. I mean, to be honest, I think this is going to be not for everyone's cup of tea. It's not action packed, sort of like high intensity kind of game. You got to think about the puzzles sometimes, but definitely very rewarding when you do. I would love to have seen a sequel, or at least something else take on this kind of style. It's sort of like a lost style of game. Yeah, that's reminded me. I need to play that Super Nintendo game, Solstice, that also plays like that. Next up, talking of C64, a game, probably got the wrong amount of V's I've written down there. VV. Yeah, lots of V's. Basically, what this game is. It looks like it's made on the C64. However, obviously, we're talking about modern retro here. It was probably, I don't know when it came out, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. So maybe that is retro, modern retro. I don't know. But yeah, whatever it is fantastic. One of my favorite games. Probably it's only a few hours long. Bit of a it's almost a Metroidvania. Almost it really is, because you kind of got like to backtrack a lot. But you wouldn't think of it as a Metroidvania. It's very simplistic looking, and that's where there's sort of like it catches you out a little bit, because there's a lot of depth in it. There's a little bit of story. I can't remember what the story is. It's been that long ago since I played it, but what's cool about it is it plays a little bit like Metal Storm on the NES, where you have like a gravity flip. So you don't jump necessarily. You swap gravity, and that just makes the platforming so unique. Even more so than Metal Storm, it plays a lot faster. Like, it's very hard. It's sort of like, again, I'll probably talk about this game quite a lot. It's probably the first retro-inspired game I ever remember, and it's I Want to Be the Guy, and that kind of cemented me into the world of the modern retro, I guess. Maybe I should do a playthrough of that and see how bad I am, because it's been a long time since I played that. But yeah, VVV kind of takes on that, like, sort of like the spikes, very basic looking gameplay, but rock hard, but very rewarding platforming. Fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of VVV. It's I believe it was supposed to have got a PS4 release. In fact, it did get a release. There is like discs pressed, and I actually bidded on one, but it was like £100, and I was very dubious to buy it, because who Nicalis was saying, don't buy this game, it's going to be getting released in a year's time. Well, these copies still have not come out, Nicalis. Give me VVV, I will give you some money if you release VVV. Give me VVV. Anyway, next we're going to have a Metroidvania. Yeah, this is one that I played very recently, and absolutely fantastic game, and it is Deal It in the Wonderland Record of Ludus War. What a mouthful that is. But yeah, basically this is just Symphony of the Night condensed down into like 8 hours or something, and because of that, absolutely love it. This is as a gamer this day and age who's got so many games, such a big backlog, this just hits all the high notes of Symphony of the Night and puts it in a more condensed version. I know a lot of people don't like it because of that, because it is sort of like it's sort of almost over before it begins, but I just find it a perfect length. The visuals in it, absolutely stunning. I don't get why this very well established franchise has kind of gone this way, but I'm so glad it did, because it just gave an absolutely outstanding Metroidvania. Fantastic. Definitely one to pick up, and one that's not actually that expensive. At least I don't think it is. It's by Red Art Games, but I don't think this was actually a limited release. I think it was just put out to all the stores. Anyway, next up, we're gonna have to do a couple of digital games here. In fact, I think all of them are going to be digital now. So I've got no visual clues for any of these. So I'm going to have another sip of wine. Don't mind me slowly getting bladdered here. I've had half a bottle of wine already. Yeah. Anyway, Jamestown Plus. So would it be right if I didn't have a shooter on my collection? I was trying to wonder if I should add any on, but I'm not going to lie, a lot of the modern retro shooters seem very bland. They don't have much going for them. They're either too modern to be counted and good, or just sort of like that, have that pixelated style that quite flashy, quite good looking, but seem very hollow and just don't have much depth to it. However, Jamestown Plus is completely different. It's got sort of like a Super Nintendo style visual. And it is up there with some of the best shooters, I've got to say. I know a lot of people have sort of like raved on it about a lot. I was really hoping to get a physical copy. Limited Run released a Switch copy, and I was like, I'm just going to now. Maybe it will come out a year later. I think nearly a year later. I bit the bullet, bought a digital copy, and never looked back. I absolutely love that game. And then, of course, the inevitable happened. As soon as I bought it, PS4 Limited Run, and I was like, screw you guys. I'm not even going to join in on that because it's just not fair. It's just not fair. It should have been released at the same time. I might have bought it then, but I've paid for it digitally and I've enjoyed it. And there we are. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a rant here. It should be all positive, shouldn't it? That's what the wine does to me. But Jamestown, why is it so good? So this is almost like Skyforce, where it's one of them kind of games you play level after level, but you only have a few levels unlocked, and to get the rest unlocked, you have to go and get like 5 stars on each level. But then to get even further, you have to then beat the game in difficult mode to beat it properly. On oh my goodness, that difficult mode gets difficult. Not like as a Steam shooter, it is okay. A bit of perseverance, you'll get through it and stuff like that. But yeah, it did make me wonder if I would actually even beat it at one point. But we got there. Fortunately, it's not, like I say, it doesn't play the same as other games where you can't 1cc this game. It's sort of like you have to make the game sort of like open itself up. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that sort of like modern aesthetic of shooters. I only know Jamestown and Skyforce and Aces of the Luftwaffe that do that kind of thing. Please let me know if there is any more like that, because I kind of really enjoy that sort of like repetition of playing the same levels over and over again, getting good at them, and like I say, unlocking further levels. I kind of like it. It's good. But yeah, Jamestown Plus, fantastic. What is it? Steampunk sort of style visuals. Again, not many games are doing that, which was pretty cool. You go and like go firing along down a cornfield at one point. Yeah, fantastic game. A must for everyone. And again, probably most expensive game out of this list digitally. Probably a tenner to get it digitally. But I find it very worth it. And if you want to go for the physical, Limited Run or eBay's your man. Next up, what we got? Katana Zero. This sort of links into another game that could be on the list. It probably should be on the list, really. And yeah, Katana Zero is a 2D scrolling platformer samurai, but not like Shinobi or not like Ninja Gaiden. This is sort of like a futuristic samurai coming into a hyper violent, very gory world. And the best way I can akin it to is basically, what's it called? Oh my goodness. oh, what's that bloody chicken game? I'm gonna kick myself here. I shouldn't have forgotten this. I've literally remembered it a second ago, but I'll put it down here. Anyway, it plays very much like that game down there, but with swords, and it's a 2D game instead of like a scrolling game. What's it called? No, over the top game. But yeah, it plays very very similar to that game. Sort of like you don't really know who you are, what's happening. It's very like sort of like you're just in this world, and you've kind of got these missions. And what's cool about it is you kind of have like this set stage of platforms, and you got to get from A to B. But getting to A to B is very hard, but very like you know what you've got to do. So you'll kill a couple of people. You have to like parry the bullets and stuff like that, and then you'll probably die. And then you can just rewind time until you can try again as many times as you want. And it's like very fast and frenetic, and you can't. It's almost like a puzzle game. Hotline Miami. I knew I'd get there in the end. Hotline Miami plays very much like that, where it's almost like a puzzle game, and yeah, you just have to retry the levels over and over again, rewind in time until you get to the end, and then it comes into cutscenes where you kind of go back and chill out a little bit. Again, very much akin to Hotline Miami, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's sort of like doesn't take itself seriously, a bit cyberpunky, a bit samurai. Very highly recommended. I actually don't think there is a physical release of this, so that is, I think, pretty much going to have to be a digital game. I'm sorry about that, guys. Next up, another digital game, and it is Cyber Shadow. So yeah, I said, well, we're getting very ninja with this, isn't it? I think ninjas are very popular for retro games. Maybe too popular, I don't know, but Cyber Shadow is that almost Ninja Gaiden 4. It feels like it could actually have been a sequel to Ninja Gaiden. Fantastic, plays very traditional, unlike sort of the Messenger. This is A to B. You've got levels to just progress through. Very linear, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at the slightest. And yeah, fantastic game. What can I say about it? It's a game a bit like Super Cyborg. It's very like simple, and doesn't have much going for it other than very, very enjoyable gameplay and good visuals. So yeah, fantastic. Again, I'm just rubbish at remembering games, so apologies for that one. But a digital game that really did stick in my mind, and it is Carry On. And again, this has come out physically a lot more easier to get than it was before. I just want, I don't, is there a PS4 version of it? I don't know, but yeah, Carry On. I got that on Game Pass, which is how I played it. I thought that was going to be the only way I was going to be able to play it, but yeah, this game is so unique, so unique. You're basically a big blob going around the world, Metroidvania style. You're, I think you had like a load of experiments done to you, and you're trying to escape the world. I can't remember the story. I'm rubbish at stories. But the game, like, you sort of like mold around like the level and stuff like that, and the pixel graphics on like the movement of that is so well executed. Again, this game is not going to get made on Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1. It's just too advanced, even though it's pixelated graphics. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it reminds me of what's it called, Meatwad from Hunger Force, Aqua Teen Strike Force. I've had too many of these, mate. Honestly, I started drinking my wine. I was like, I need to make this video. But yeah, fantastic. I don't know how many games I've put there. Too many, probably more than 10. But that being said, I'm going to put a few honourable mentions because I want more people to talk about Super Meat Boy and Celeste. I've talked about these games far too much, so that's why I'm not going to, because you're probably bored of me talking about them. But I'm going to talk about another couple of games which I don't think they're available anymore. First one is TKX. So these are honourable mentions. Sorry guys, you can't get it. TKX, basically it's Tempest. I think what's his name? The guy that made Tempest. He lost the license with Tempest, so he just made another game. Unfortunately, even though he didn't do it as Tempest, it was too close to being Tempest, and everyone was calling it a Tempest game anyway. So I think Atari sued him or something, and the game had to get pulled off the shelves. And I used to have this on my Vita for the longest time, and I used to go back and play it every so often. Loved it, fantastic game, and I broke the memory card it was on. I used to have like the biggest memory card you could get for the Vita. I had to take it apart because I had a battery cache leak or something. I don't know. Just had to unplug the battery and plug it back again and to reset it. But because I didn't remove that memory card, it broke it, and I lost TKX, a very valuable game to me, because I absolutely love that. I love Tempest so much. And lastly, sorry to be boring you so much, but Cloudberry Kingdom. Oh my god, this could be one of the first retro remake. Is it retro? I don't know. I don't know if I can count this, but it's just that retro hardness. It was like hard for being hard's sake, and it just sort of like stuck into my memory. Again, I don't think this is available anymore. But yeah, it was an early Xbox 360 game I used to have back in the day, and yeah, if I remember correctly, it was quite retro. But anyway, I don't know. I'll probably put a video up there. Tell me, is this game retro? Is it not? Did anyone play it? Did anyone beat it? I didn't beat it, and that's what another good thing about like another thing I forgot to mention as well. A lot of these retro games back in the day, um, the ones that you've not beaten are the ones I find that you love the most because they're the games that you're probably playing the most because you can't beat the bloody thing. A game that you can beat from A to B in one life, first time. How are you going to remember that game? You're just not. It's these games that you have to like repetitively put time into, and that's why I love shmups. I'm sorry, I could go into another tangent. Sorry, I think I've had too much wine, so I'm going to say adios before I bloody say too much. Anyway, speak to you guys later. Bye.